Venezuelan Minister of Interior, Justice and Peace, Diosdado Cabello, rejected the Trump administration's decree that partially restricts the entry of Venezuelan migrants to the U.S. In Panama, the trade union strike and protests are underway to demand the repeal of Law 462 of the Social Security Fund and stand against the government policies. And the Israeli occupation army killed 4 journalists in an attack on the Al-Ali Baptist Hospital in Gaza City. Hello and welcome to From the South. My name is Belén de los Santos. I'm from the teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. We now begin with the information. U.S. President Donald Trump signed a new executive order banning citizens of 12 countries from entering the United States and also partially restricted the entry of people from 7 other nations, including Cuba and Venezuela. The decree published by the White House indicates that they have totally restricted and limited the entry of nationals from Afghanistan, Burma, Chad, the Republic of Congo, Equatorial Guinea, Eritrea, Haiti, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and Yemen. The measure adds to President Trump's administration's crackdown on migrants, which has been in effect since the inauguration on January 20th. And in this way, President Trump also partially restricted the entry of citizens from Burundi, Cuba, Laos, Sierra Leone, Togo, Turkmenistan, and Venezuela.
Today, I am signing a new executive order placing travel restrictions on countries including Yemen, Somalia, Haiti, Libya, and numerous others. The strength of the restrictions we're applying depends on the severity of the threat posed. The list is subject to revision based on whether material improvements are made, and likewise, new countries can be added as threats emerge around the world.
In this context, the government of Venezuela denounced a campaign of hatred and stigmatization against its people by the U.S. government. In an official statement, it says that Venezuela categorically condemns and rejects the campaign of stigmatization and criminalization launched against its people by the government of the United States, now expressed in a new attack that restricts the issuance and validity of visas for Venezuelan citizens without any justification and with obvious political and intimidating purposes. It goes on to condemn that this operation has been promoted by the current Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, an official known for his hatred of the Venezuelan people, who has made systematic aggressions with his foreign policy and with the support of the Venezuelan far right. The Bolivarian government of Venezuela reiterates its unwavering commitment to defending the rights and interests of Venezuelans anywhere in the world, and in the face of this new wave of aggressions, reaffirms the maximum travel alert to the United States of America, warning that a country that does not currently guarantee the minimum conditions of respect, dignified treatment, or legality for the Venezuelan citizens. And the statement ends by underscoring that what has happened is not an isolated incident, but a new demonstration of the visceral hatred against the Venezuelan people that animates those who today conduct Washington's foreign policy. We stay on topic as the Venezuelan Minister of the Interior, Justice and Peace, Diosdado Cabello, rejected the Trump administration's decree that bans the entry into the United States of citizens from 12 countries and also partially restricts the entry of Venezuelan migrants. On his program, Con el Mazo Dando, Cabello reaffirmed that the measure not only affects Venezuela but also citizens of 6 other countries whose applications for entry had been restricted. The minister further described as risky the traveling to the United States. In this regard, the PSUV leader accused the U.S. government of being led by fascist and supremacist sectors that persecute Venezuelan citizens without justification.
The United States has just prohibited the entry of any Venezuelan. They are like 9 countries. Not even with a visa. Visas for the United States have been eliminated. It is really risky for anyone to be in the United States, not only for Venezuelans. If you're feeling irresponsible, go to the United States, take your holidays, and go to the United States. Ask for it. Make the effort and go to the United States. In the US government there are bad people. It's fascism. It's the supremacists who think they own the world.
Cuba's Foreign Minister Bruno Rodriguez also rejected the Trump administration's decree prohibiting nationals from 12 countries from entering the United States. Through the social network X, the official denounced that the new ban on entry to the U.S. for nationals of several countries has racist undertones and is supported by anti-Cuban politicians, adding that it harms contact between Cuban families. It damages personal, professional, academic, and cultural exchanges between the two countries as well. Meanwhile, the government of China has condemned the latest tariff hikes on steel and aluminum products imposed by the United States, warning of their negative impact on global supply chains.
The United States has once again raised tariffs on steel, aluminum, and their derivative products. This move is not only detrimental to itself and others, does nothing to safeguard industrial security, but also disrupts the stability of global supply chains. The U.S. approach has been opposed by multiple countries. China urges the U.S. to respect economic laws, abandon zero-sum thinking, stop generalizing and abusing the concept of national security, and work together with other countries to safeguard a rules-based, multilateral trading system.
And a joint discovery by Chinese and German scientists may offer a significant clue on the question of whether life beyond Earth exists. Based on the transit timing variation (TTV) technique, for the first time, the super-Earth Kepler 725c, with 10 times the mass of the Earth, has been detected within the habitable zone of the Sun-like star Kepler 725, which is a promising candidate for potential habitability. The breakthrough was published in the journal Nature Astronomy on Tuesday, and the discovery, based on the TTV technique, offers a new approach to detecting exo-Earths, making the technique a powerful tool for discovering invisible planets in the habitable zones of Sun-like stars. We now move on to other topics. A magnitude 5 earthquake on the Richter scale hit the Chinese province of Yunnan, affecting almost 6,000 people and damaging more than 170 homes. According to the Chinese Seismological Network Center, the earthquake was recorded at 4:31 a.m. local time on Thursday. The epicenter was located 318 kilometers from the city of Kunming and provincial capital at the depth of 10 kilometers. Authorities reported that over 5,900 people were affected and almost 4,000 were evacuated as a precaution. Eduyang County, the area worst affected by the earthquake, activated an emergency protocol to assist the victims and set up 3 temporary housing centers. Now we have a short break coming up, but first, remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you will find news in different formats, news updates, and much more. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. We continue with more information. In Panama, the trade union strikes and protests are underway to demand the repeal of Law 462 of the Social Security Fund and stand against the government policies. The Ministry of Education requested the resumption of classes after 43 days of indefinite strike, but the teachers' union stated that they won't engage in dialogue or return to the classroom until the law is repealed. In the sense, trade unions urge citizens to join rallies grounded in this law harms families. Moreover, they underscore that privatization only guarantees a decrease and elimination of the historical benefits won with hard work. Therefore, Panamanians reject the Memorandum of Understanding with the United States, the military bases, the reopening of the Donoso copper mine, and the persecution of trade unions. In this context, regardless the constitutional right to go on strike in Panama, the General Comptroller of the Republic indicated that the stoppage of classes by teachers was illegal. Subsequently, the authority announced the next week 15,000 educators wouldn't receive their salaries. They further advanced that they would access other legal actions they may take against the teachers' unions. Likewise, the Comptroller's office highlighted they would review the teachers' data bank to replace those instructors who were not teaching due to joining the strike. We go now to Ecuador, as after the National Assembly passed a partial amendment to the Article 5 of the Constitution to eliminate the express prohibition of the establishment of foreign military bases in national territory, there have been several reactions. Gabriela Mena tells us more in the following report.
After Rafael Correa became president of Ecuador, the prohibition of foreign military bases was enacted for reasons such as the increased indexes of violence and the record of multiple claims of right violations. This particular base operated from the 2000 to 2009.
Antes de que ellos llegaran, el nivel de muertes violentas que había en el Ecuador era 1,600.
Before they arrived, the level of violent deaths that existed in Ecuador was 1,600. After that, it increased to 2,625. And then without them, they managed to lower crime impressively from 2,625 to 934. Ecuador was the second safest country in Latin America in 2017 when President Correa left the government.
The foreign bases constituted an infringement of Ecuadorian sovereignty due to the fact that the bases' headquarters were not regulated by Ecuadorian law, but by those of their own country. Furthermore, it was not possible to control what occurred inside the bases, and different crimes began to be reported, adding that they had their own agenda of operations that the Ecuadorian state did not know about.
Cuando estaban los americanos acá hubo hundimiento de barcos.
When they were here, there were sinking of boats, complaints from fishermen who said they have been victims of abuses by U.S. forces. So there were always this type of scenarios.
Hubo incluso abusos a menores.
There were even abuses of minors. There were also situations of abuse in bars. And since they had diplomatic status, in this case, the U.S. Marines had immunity. They could not do anything to them, nor could they be denounced. When some controversy happened in Ecuador, they could leave the country and go away. Experts are concerned about the Assembly's decision, claiming that there is no evidence that the country's crime wave will be curbed by allowing the entry of foreign military forces.
Because what we are doing is handing over a part of our territory so that they can install themselves. They are selling an imaginary world where people think that since they are going to bring a military base, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 soldiers are going to come and they are going to fight with the armed groups. That is not so. That is not going to happen.
In addition, the experts consulted warned that foreign military presence not only affects national sovereignty but also impacts the entire region. I believe that the Assembly and the President have rushed to set a geopolitical agenda that includes us in an issue that we do not want, which is an international war. But doing this, as has been done now, without taking into account the precedent we had with the Colombia plan, is a mistake. Ecuador remains expectant of the decision to be taken in the referendum, for which it is estimated that the Ecuadorian National Electoral Council will convene the polls within a maximum period of up to 45 days.
Gabriela Mena, teleSUR Ecuador.
In El Salvador, lawyer Ruth Lopez, a significant investigator of the crimes committed by the Bukele administration, will remain in prison after her initial hearing against her finished on Wednesday. The prosecution charged her on Wednesday with illicit enrichment. As a result, her trial was declared in reserve by a judge. This implied no media outlets could attend her hearings, and in addition, it entailed plaintiffs have no contact with the defendant. Thus, by the time Lopez was leaving the 12th Peace Court in San Salvador, she claimed to be a political prisoner because of her work against corruption and abuses of power by the government. In this context, outside the court, activists gathered to express their solidarity with the lawyer and denounce the persecution against human rights defenders. In other news, the Peruvian Minister of Defense, Walter Astudillo, extended on Wednesday for 60 days of the state of emergency in the Patas province, where mining activities would be resumed after 13 security guards were massacred there.
The Supreme Decree was approved today, which extends the state of emergency in the Patas province in La Libertad department. So the decree guarantees the continuity of mining activities.
The Russian Defense Ministry reported on Thursday that its troops managed to destroy Ukrainian workshops, warehouses, and drone launching sites in the past 24 hours. The entity further detailed that several ammunition depots and temporary deployment sites of the Ukrainian Air Forces had been rendered inoperative in some 142 districts. In addition, the ministry informed that its anti-aircraft defense system had shot down a U.S.-made HIMARS missile and around 154 drones, 60 of which had been in civilian areas. Moreover, authorities noted that the Ukrainian enemy troops lost some 90 military personnel, as well as armored vehicles, self-propelled artillery units, rocket launchers, electronic warfare equipment, and other defense materials. And like this, we have a second short break coming up, but before we invite you to visit our Facebook page at teleSUR English, there you'll be able to watch our top stories, special live coverages, and much more. Follow our page and activate notifications to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. Final short break, don't go away. Welcome back from the south. The Israeli occupation army killed 4 journalists in an attack on the Al-Ali Baptist Hospital in Gaza City on Thursday. Wafa news agency reported that Israeli drones bombed the courtyard of the health facility, killing 4 of them and leaving a 5th one critically wounded. The press members were on assignment near the hospital entrance, an area known to be frequented by media personnel. In this context, the director of the medical center reported that several people were injured in the attack, stressing this is the 8th time that Israel has targeted the facility since the start of its genocidal campaign in October of 2023. More than 220 communication workers have been killed since that moment. And the Israeli security forces have decided to prevent the Freedom Flotilla boat Medellin from approaching Gaza, and they're considering a military operation to capture and detain it. The ship sailing from Italy to Gaza carrying 12 pro-Palestinian activists, including climate activist Greta Thunberg and actor Liam Cunningham, is due to arrive on shore within 4 to 5 days and is currently near Greece. Israel initially considered allowing the ship to dock because it does not pose a security threat, but finally decided to prevent it from doing so, setting a precedent or breaking the blockade imposed on Gaza. And in Germany, demonstrators gathered to protest the visit of Israeli Foreign Minister Gideon Sa'ar. The mobilization took place in front of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Berlin, where dozens rallied holding Palestinian flags and placards condemning the genocide Israel commits in Gaza. Protesters denounced the war crimes committed by Tel Aviv and demanded the prosecution of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Furthermore, demonstrators called for the government to ban weapons exports to Israel after German Foreign Minister Johann Wedpol reaffirmed on Thursday the nation's military support to the Zionist regime, also affirming that recognizing a Palestinian state at the moment would send, quote-unquote, the wrong signal. While in France for a state visit, Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva condemned the genocide Israel perpetrates against Palestinians in Gaza, calling world powers to unite to put an end to it.
What is happening in Gaza is not a war. What is happening in Gaza is a genocide carried out by a highly prepared army against women and children. That is what is happening, and humanity has to be indignant in the face of it. Society must be indignant in the face of it, and it's why I keep demanding. And I am becoming the very boring guy that I keep demanding changes at the United Nations, but the United Nations of today cannot be the United Nations of 1945. The organization of today has to have the participation of the African continent, South America, Latin America. And it is important that the world powers put an end to this immediately. We cannot continue to have the United Nations calling for a ceasefire and not have a ceasefire respected. So people, we are still seeing genocide in front of us every single day. Every single day. Yesterday 95 people have died, all innocent and civilians.
In other news, on the second day of the Hajj pilgrimage, thousands of Muslim faithful flocked to Mount Arabat in Saudi Arabia to pray, seek forgiveness, and reflect on their faith. Despite heat wave warnings, hundreds of thousands of Muslim pilgrims from around the world began the rituals on the Hajj on Wednesday. This annual pilgrimage takes them to the Saudi cities of Mecca and Medina, where Islam was born 14 centuries ago. Before dawn, pilgrims began arriving at the historic hill where the Prophet Muhammad delivered his farewell sermon over 1,400 years ago during his final pilgrimage. Many of the faithful choose to fast on this day, as it is believed that doing so atones for the sins of the previous and coming years. And like this, we have come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories at our website at telesurenglish.net. Also join us on social media. We are on Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok as well. For TeleSUR English, my name is Belén de los Santos. Thank you for watching.